Hi everyone, Heather here with astrologywithheather.com, and I am back with another weekly forecast. This one is for Monday, March 15th, all the way through to Sunday, March 21st of 2021. And this week is actually a rather mild week in the astrology. We don't have anything super alarming, super crazy going on. What we do have though is an energy that strengthens our resolve, that creates greater endurance, that helps us to be much more self-disciplined and ambitious and driven this week. And that energy is Mars, which has moved out of Taurus and is no longer squaring Saturn. It's actually making a really beautiful, really harmonious trine with Saturn in the sign of, Gemini and Aquarius. This is good news. And especially because of what's going to be happening next week with Mars when it conjuncts the North Node, which is a little bit more volatile. So this is an energy where slow and steady wins the race, where you can push forward with your greatest ideas, with your best energy in relationships, where you can push forward with whatever it is that you've been wanting to put together to plan to accomplish this week. And anything that you initiate this week, you're going to have the discipline to stick it out and to see it through. We also have Mercury moving into the sign of Pisces and Venus moving into the sign of Aries. Both of those are the signs of their detriment. And so we'll talk about that in just a moment here. And then finally, we have the spring equinox, or the fall equinox if you're watching in the southern hemisphere, because I know a lot of you are. And the spring equinox is sort of the astrological new year. It's when we have the rebirth of the sun, when the sun moves into the very first sign in the zodiac, which also happens to be its exaltation. And so this is a really fiery, very willful, very ambitious energy. And so this is a week where I feel like people are going to be raring to go, ready to make things happen between that Mars Trines Saturn and between that equinox energy, which really lights a fire under us. And so before we get into all of that, I just want to mention, for those of you who are new to my channel, please make sure that you subscribe to my channel so you never miss an astrology update. I post a new weekly forecast video every single Saturday at 9 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. And for those of you, actually Mountain Daylight Time now, and for those of you, even if you're not new to my channel, I just want to reiterate and remind you guys how I structure my videos so you know what's up and what's coming up in this video. And so for the first 5-10 minutes of each video, I give a general overview of the energy for the week ahead. Don't skip this because it provides an important context for the energy we'll be discussing a little bit more in detail in your weekly forecast for all 12 signs. Speaking of which, when we get to the weekly forecast for all 12 signs, make sure you listen to your sun sign, your moon sign, and your rising sign. The rising sign will be the most predominant energy, the sun sign will be secondary, and the moon sign is important to listen to as well, although it'll be a little bit more internalized and subjective. And finally, at the end of each video, I do a general overview, about 2 to 3 minutes of next week's energy, so you can get even farther ahead on the astrology, so you can plan for that. So if that's something that you're interested in, make sure you stick around until the end of this video. So back to the general forecast, you guys. So basically, the first thing that's happening this week is on Monday, Mercury's moving into the sign of Pisces. Mercury in Pisces is actually it's in its detriment, right? So Mercury is home in Virgo, and it's actually exalted in Virgo in traditional astrology. So not only is this its detriment, but it's also, its fall if you're looking at it from that traditional mindset, when we, didn't have these outer planets and we didn't assign different planets to different signs, the invisible planets, when we didn't assign the invisible planets to all of these signs just yet because they haven't been discovered. So Mercury is, not in its best placement when it's in the sign of Pisces. Pisces is a sign that's very watery, very intuitive, very creative, very imaginative, very dreamy, but also kind of foggy. It's a confusing energy, right? It's murky. And Mercury is a planet that is all about your intelligence. It's about your communication skills. It's about the way that you rationally think about things and communicate those rational thoughts to others. And so in such an irrational sign, in such a sign that's so creative and nonlinear and not so logical and more flowy and intuitive, it can be a little bit difficult. And one of the things that I've noticed with all of my clients who have this placement, and even when Mercury moves into this sign, it tends to be more of a predominant energy for everybody, is that Mercury in Pisces brings in this energy where you don't think in the same way that you normally do. It's not A plus B equals C. It's not a logical linear pattern. It's more like information comes into your mind or comes into your imagination, even fully formed. It's like you're seeing and visualizing a whole picture. And it's not just a picture. It's like you're touching it, you're tasting it, you're viewing this situation very holistically in a way that transcends this reality and transcends the ability to really be fully described using language. And so, because Mercury and Pisces people think this way, and if you're a Mercury and Pisces person, let me know in the comment section if this is true for you. It can be a little bit more difficult to get your point across or to really describe what it is that you're envisioning. And so because of this, because of the lack of descriptive language that encompasses really this whole picture, and maybe some murkiness around it too, that's definitely a Mercury and Pisces thing. People who have this placement feel misunderstood, and this is actually going to make it so we're more likely to come into misunderstandings, misinformation, fogginess, confusion, things like that. So people are not going to be paying close attention to the details. They're kind of looking at things more holistically, and that can cause mistakes to be made. This is also a really strong placement for lies and deception, especially next week, which we'll talk about at the end of this video. I think we're going to see some pretty weird stuff going on in the global sphere and even in our own individual lives around information, misinformation, just a lot of stuff that's going to be all up in the air. And so we're starting to pick up on that this week, but it really doesn't take hold or become a bigger energy until next week. Also, obviously, Venus in Aries. Venus is in its detriment in Aries. It's at home in the sign of Libra, so not the best placement. It's a little bit more selfish and self-serving in terms of the way that it approaches relationships, because Venus is the planet of relationships. It's our love language. It's the way we interrelate. It's more demonstrative. It's kind of like, I'm going to show you what I like so you'll know to do that for me. As opposed to looking at the needs of others or, other ways that you could express this energy or show your love and affection or show what you need in terms of love and affection. And so it can make it feel like our partnerships are a little bit more one-sided right now. But this is a passionate energy. This is a good energy for romance, for sex, for things of that nature. But it is a little bit more challenging, and Venus is actually going to be combust right now, and it's going to be actually, it'll be Cazimi next week, so that'll elevate it and it'll actually help that energy along a little bit. So again, we'll talk about that at the end of this video. But as far as the influence this week, that's basically what we're getting. It's a little bit more challenged than it normally is. But the good news is that Mars is trining Saturn. And this is actually, as I mentioned at the start of this video, a very different energy than what we've been experiencing. For the first several weeks of this year, beginning on January 6th and all the way through to, 2 weeks ago, on the 3rd of March, we had Mars in the sign of Taurus. Mars does not like to be in Taurus. Taurus is a very slow-moving, very static sign. It likes to keep things the way they are. And so because Taurus likes to be in its comfort zones, Taurus takes a longer time to get things moving, to get things going into motion. And Mars is all about initiating action, right? And so that was a conflicting energy. Well, now we have Mars in the sign of Gemini, which it could be you're starting a lot of different things all at once, especially with this Aquarian energy involved. But anything that you really start right now, when Mars is in trine with Saturn, the two malefics in trine with one another, it's actually a very positive energy. And so basically what this means is that anything that you want to initiate right now, especially related to that air energy, right? This is an air trine. So especially related to communication, education, learning, teaching, sharing new ideas, travel a little bit can be a part of that too, in the sign of Gemini in particular. Anything that you want to do involving relationships and connections with other people, now you have the green light to do it. And when you initiate this with Mars in trine with Saturn, this is actually an energy that gives you staying power. So even though Mars is in Gemini and it can be scattered and you could be kind of all over the place with your thoughts, with your ideas, with where you're placing your energy and what you want to initiate. Maybe you want to initiate 20 things all at once. Saturn helps you focus. And whatever it is that you are initiating this week, first off, it's probably something pretty fated and pretty karmic because we have that node energy that I'll talk about at the end of this video for next week. But it's also something that's going to have staying power. It's going to give you the discipline and the self-discipline, especially, that you need to follow through with these plans, to see them through until the very end, as opposed to starting a bunch of stuff because you're excited about it and then just letting it fall away. This is an energy that gives you that drive, that gives you that discipline to achieve your goals, right? And this is about creating goals too. So this is a really great week for you to create goals, create plans, and kind of line them up and lay them out and start setting those plans in motion. And so that's what's going to be happening this week. And yeah, so that's my spiel about the general forecast. And so let's get into the forecast for all 12 signs. But before we do, I have a very quick announcement I want to make. The enrollment for my Cosmic Academy of Astrology, my 32-week astrology program that will take you all the way from just starting to learn about astrology. Maybe you've been studying for a while, but you're having trouble putting all the pieces together to read birth charts, to make interpretations, to do predictions and things like that. This is the class for you. And so the program is now open for enrollment. It will never be available at this price again. It will never be available with the bonuses that I'm offering again. And enrollment closes for the entire year on March 17th at midnight, overnight on Wednesday night. And so if you want to get in on this, if you want to enroll in the program, you can learn more at the link in the description below, and you can sign up at the link in the description below. I'll discuss the program in greater detail at the end of this video, just because this is a one-time thing this year. I'm only doing enrollment once a year, and so I want to make sure that you have all the information, but the information is also in that link, so you can click there and you can find out what you need to know, or email me, ask questions, and all of that. And so there we go. Let's get into the forecast for all 12 signs, beginning, of course, with Aries and Aries rising. All right, and so for Aries and for Aries rising, this energy is actually quite nice for you because you're about to have Venus moving into your sign. This is a time where you're going to feel more attractive, more likable, definitely much more charismatic. People will be much more drawn to you. This is a very sensual energy for Aries. And, you know, it's a time where it's actually a really good time for making improvements on your appearance when you have Venus transiting your sign. And so that's something to keep in mind as well. But the big energy and the big news is that you're going to have Mars actually in a trine with Saturn in your relationship houses, in your interpersonal houses. And so Saturn has been transiting Aquarius with Jupiter for quite some time, but there is this huge messy stellium there, which potentially was causing a bit of a mess when it comes to your social interactions, maybe a lot of chaos there, or maybe a lot of inhibition there too, because Saturn's been involved. But now's a time where if there's something that you've been wanting to set in motion in terms of restructuring your social interactions, finding more solid, more reliable friends, and potentially weeding out, you know, the riffraff, because when you have Saturn transiting your 11th house, it's a time where you're going to be letting go of a lot of friends. It's a time where you're going to be letting go of social interactions with people that are more frivolous, or with people who are maybe just like bar buddies, or who are not really truly there for you. And you're going to be replacing those with new, more solid, long-lasting friendships. So it's kind of like you're weeding out your social circle a little bit. And this is a time where that's going to be a more predominant energy too. But now's a time where if there's something that you wanted to do with a group or a network or an organization that you wanted to get going, or if you want to start your own group or organization or club or something like that, now's the time where you can set that in motion. This would also be a really great time for some sort of group activity involving education or learning new skills. And so that's something that you could utilize this energy for as well. So maybe you've been thinking about launching a course. Maybe you've been thinking about taking a course. Maybe you're thinking about enrolling in the Cosmic Academy of Astrology. Whatever it is, now's the time where you can make that happen. And it's not just something where you're going to jump in and kind of dabble with it. It's something that you're going to want to stick with. It's going to pique your curiosity and keep your attention for quite some time. This is also a really good time where you can initiate hard conversations with friends and groups of people that you surround yourself with by choice. And this is also a really great time, especially if you're an Aries rising near that 10th degree. So I would say anywhere from like 7 to 13 degrees. This is a really great time for you to initiate a long-term plan or project or a contract or an agreement between two parties or in relationship with somebody. Okay, and then for Taurus and for Taurus rising. So for Taurus, this energy, first off, Mercury is moving into your 11th house, so you're probably going to be getting a lot more communication, text messages, phone calls, emails from your friends and from your social networks. You're going to be maybe a little bit more active on social media or on the internet, a lot more talkative and chatty with your friends over the next few weeks, and so that'll be sort of a welcome change of energy or shift in the energy. But this is really an important week to get something going involving your financial plans for the future and how those relate to your career or to the bigger picture or to the way that you present yourself publicly. It could be that your boss has been shooting you down for getting a raise or getting that promotion or something along those lines. If you initiate it now, like over this next week, it's more likely that it could happen and that you'll be able to stick with whatever that is for the next, for a long time. I mean, you're really setting yourself up for success for the next 30 years, at least with Saturn transiting your 10th house. You're having to work a lot harder when it comes to your ambitions, your goals. And that's not just career-wise. This is goals and ambitions outside of your career as well. But especially when it comes to your career, especially when it comes to your work, there's something here that you have to restructure and you have to set a new foundation for. And this is actually connected to your goals and plans financially, which, usually it is when it's your career, but this is almost like you need to set something in motion because of the financial plans or the financial goals that you have. And so now's a time where you can, get that going and make a lot of progress, I would say. So that's actually, a lot of good energy for work. You've probably been struggling. There's probably been a lot of ups and downs, twists and turns, forward, backward, frustration, chaos, hesitation, procrastination in the area of work and business. And now's a time where you finally have the energy and the clarity and the green light to make things happen. For Gemini and for Gemini rising. So for Geminis, this is happening in your sign. So when Mars is in your sign, you're going to be feeling fired up about something. So basically when Mars transits your sign, it's kind of like you're a force to be reckoned with. It's not good to get in your way right now and over the next few weeks when Mars is in Gemini while Mars is transiting your sign, because you're going to be pushing forward regardless of what's going on around you. You're going to be very self-focused and driven when it comes to your goals and your ambitions and the things that you want to accomplish, the things that you need to move forward with. And so, it can make you a little bit more combative. It can make you a little bit more pushy. It can make it so you can step on other people's toes or come across as being harsh, but you're really just focused. You're really just driven. You're really just wanting to do what you want to do when you want to do it right now, because the time is now and you can feel that energy. And this week we actually have Saturn coming in and, improving upon that quite a bit. And so basically, this is going to help you to not just jump into a bunch of things all willy-nilly. This is going to help you to figure out what is in alignment with your bigger goals and plans, what is in alignment with your integrity, your beliefs, what you know to be right, what you know to be true, and how do you focus on just those things and weed out the rest, right? This is about weeding out anything that is not in alignment with your integrity and only focusing on the plans, the goals, the ambitions that are. This is also a time where anything this week that you initiate, you're going to have that staying power. It could be that you want to initiate something in that 9th house realm of a higher educational program. Maybe you want to teach, maybe you want to take a new educational program. Maybe you want to initiate some sort of travel plans or something along those lines. Whatever it is that you're setting in motion, it's going to have staying power. And it's going to have staying power because of you and your own self-discipline and your own personal resolve, which will be enhanced this week. Okay, and then for Cancer and for Cancer rising. So for Cancers, this energy is actually happening in your 12th and in your 8th house. So this is a little bit more, this is a little bit trickier. There's something that you're feeling like you need to make progress with or initiate or get rolling on behind the scenes and behind closed doors. There could also be an issue that you've been working to resolve involving past wounds, past traumas, past anxieties, difficult life experiences that you're working on healing through and recovering from. It could be that you're looking to weed out and let go of addictions, compulsions, repetitive behaviors that you know are no longer serving you. It could also be that you're working on cleaning up your finances and getting your ducks in a row there and getting rid of debts and being more responsible when it comes to joint finances. Whatever it is that you're working on, now's a time where behind the scenes, you're going to be feeling much more driven and much more ambitious and ready to make these things happen. Whereas the past couple of months, it's been a little bit more all over the place where you've been feeling ready to go and then hesitant and procrastinating and then scared and then excited and then taking 2 steps forward and making mistakes and having to go sideways. And now it's a lot more straightforward and you have the green light to make whatever it is that you're trying to create happen. It could even be something like an investment. Mercury is actually moving into your 9th house. And so this would be a good time to engage in some form of higher learning or higher education, to learn a new skill, to start a new course, just to expand your mind or to take a little trip or something like that, to travel if that's available to you. And so that's something to look forward to as well, because that's going to be trining your ascendant, sextiling your descendant, and just also improving communication overall in relationships. Even though it's in Pisces, even though it's in its detriment, it's kind of like you get each other on that soul level or on that intuitive level a little bit more easily right now. And so, you know, if that's something that you're needing and you're wanting to tap into, you can. Okay, and for Leo rising. So this energy is happening in your relationship houses. And so you've had Saturn transiting your 7th house, forcing you to kind of take stock of your relationships, forcing you to take on new responsibilities in your relationships. I know someone who just bought a new home with their partner who's a Leo rising. And so that's taking on an additional responsibility with their marriage partner, right? That could be something that you're thinking about doing. Also, pregnancies are very common for women, especially when you have Saturn transiting your 7th, taking on a new responsibility in a relationship, right? So there could be a lot of talk about responsibilities, and it could be that your relationship and these new things that you're setting out to accomplish in partnership are feeling heavy. It could be, if you're not even in relationship, that you're just feeling the burden of being single or not having that partnership to bounce things off of. And in terms of all relationships, it's probably been all over the place, up, down, left, right, backward, forward, frazzled, and then procrastinating and hesitating and all of that. Now's a time where you have much better energy to initiate something in partnership with somebody else. This is also a good time, or a better time, I should say, for negotiations, contracts, and agreements. It's not going to be the best all year. Whatever it is that you're signing, you're locked into that. So just make sure you're aware of that this year. If you're signing on the dotted line, it's going to last longer than you think it will. So keep that in mind. But this is a week where it's a great time to initiate something in relationship with somebody else, or a group related project, or to join some sort of organization or start some sort of club or organization. This is a very social time, but it's looking at your social responsibilities and maybe where you want to take on more when it comes to your responsibilities within the group or in your relationships. Okay, and then for Virgo and for Virgo rising. So for Virgos, this is actually happening in your 10th and in your 6th house. So you've been feeling frazzled when it comes to your work, when it comes to your health, when it comes to your daily routines. There's been a lot on your plate, and especially like over in January and February, it was probably like really hectic. There was a lot going on, a lot to sort through. You were feeling fearful, you were feeling hesitant, you were feeling excited, you were feeling frazzled. all these things all at once, right? You were taking 2 steps forward, 1 step sideways, and you're just like, what the heck is going on here? Now's the time where you start to get clarity. It starts to actually make sense, and you can start to really move forward with your goals, your ambitions, the things that you've been trying to set up a foundation for your work, for your business, for your career, or for your public standing and the legacy that you leave behind after you're done working. Now's the time where things are really going forward. You're really ready to see things through, and anything you initiate this week involving your work, your career, your health, your relationships with people in positions of power and authority, your legacy, your public image. These are things that are going to be long withstanding. And so first off, just be careful and make sure that these are things that you want to be known for, that these are things that you want to be doing with your work. And as long as they are, you're going to have the ambition, the drive, and the staying power to see it through for quite some time. And for Libra and for Libra rising. So for Libras, this is happening in your 5th and in your 9th house. And this is going to be trining your ascendant sun or moon if you are a Libra, sun, moon, or rising, anywhere from, let's say, what would you say before, 7 to 13 degrees. You're going to be feeling this in a very positive way. You're going to be feeling very driven and very lit up and excited about something that's very connected with your core beliefs. That's very connected with the way that you view the world. That's very connected with your integrity. This would be a great time for you to engage in some sort of long-term educational program to connect with something that you love, that you're really passionate about, that brings you joy. So that way you can learn how to do it properly and you can incorporate it into your daily life and experience, or even create a business out of it or do something practical with it into the future. This is a time where, yeah, if you want to like travel or do so, like if you're thinking about taking like a longer trip, like not just like a quick trip, like you're gonna, fly to Mexico and come back real fast. If you're thinking about taking like a longer trip or traveling for like a longer term basis, now's a time where you can initiate that or get the ball rolling with that, and it'll work a lot more easily for you. But in general, this is about taking your beliefs and taking the things that you value on that sort of higher philosophical or religious or spiritual level, and also taking that and sort of melding it with the things that you're really passionate about, with the things that bring you joy, and incorporating that into your day-to-day life, your daily experience, the way that you view the world, the way that you engage with the world. So it's kind of like you're sorting through a way to connect with those things and to connect with those things long-term. But anything you want to initiate this week, Libra, you have the green light to do it. And when you do initiate something, you're going to have the determination, the stamina, the resolve, the energy to see it through and carry it out long term. For Scorpio and for Scorpio rising. So for Scorpios, this energy is happening in your 8th and in your 4th house. There's something that you want to initiate here involving your home, your family, your property, and your long-term goals and visions for your home, family, and property. It's kind of been all over the place. You're like, I don't know what I want. I don't know how to make this happen. I can tell that something needs to change, but how do I change it? In which way do I change it? Do I go this way, that way? And then maybe you're afraid to change it because it's comfortable. And now you're kind of like, all right, things are settling. I'm starting to see where this is going. I need maybe funding for this. This would actually be a great time to initiate some sort of like paperwork for a mortgage or a loan or a home equity loan or some sort of financing for something related to your home, your family, or your property. If you did that this week, it would be something that could benefit you or carry out in a positive way for the long term. This is also, maybe a time where you're looking at your investments in property and maybe the turnaround on those investments, or maybe you're looking at investing in another property or in a property for the very first time. Whatever it is that you're focused on and that you're trying to accomplish, this is a week where you can do it. This could also just be simply you trying to resolve and work through past ancestral wounds, family trauma from your childhood, and now's the time where you find the right therapist, you find the right program, you're able to initiate something that gives you the long-term results that you're looking for there. For Sagittarius and Sagittarius rising. So for Sagittarius, this is happening in your 3rd and in your 7th house. This is a great time for you to, first off, if you're looking at initiating something involving a contract, an agreement, some sort of negotiation, paperwork, something along those lines, this is a much better time than, it would have been the first couple of months in 2021. That's what we're in right now. I'm like, what year is it? So if you've been looking to do something like that, now's the time where you can set that in motion. This is also a time where you might be having some important communications with a partner, with your husband, wife, significant other, or business partner, or close friend about initiating or engaging with something, again, involving paperwork, certification, documentations, things like that. But if there is something that you want to initiate in partnership with somebody else, now's the time where you can do it. You'll be on the same page. Your communication will be really good and solid, and you'll be able to carry it out in the long term, especially if you're a Sagittarius rising anywhere between 7 and 13 degrees. You'll be feeling this in a more positive way, and you'll be feeling really fired up in partnership to we got to get this done. We got to make this happen. And whatever it is that you set in motion, just know that it's something that's going to maybe take a little bit longer to carry out, but you'll have the energy for it. But it is going to be with you for a very long time. So make sure that it's the right thing. And so long as it is, it's a good week for it. Okay. And then for Capricorn and for Capricorn rising. So for Capricorn, this energy is happening in your 6th and in your 2nd house. Now's a time where, so you've been kind of looking at your finances. Things have been a little messy there, or a little confusing there. You've been like, I want to do this thing. I want to make this change. I want to branch out on my own and create more financial independence over here. Maybe not. Maybe I'm scared. Maybe I don't want to change something. Maybe I want to quit my job. Maybe I don't want to quit my job. Maybe I need to invest in this. Maybe I need to buy that. It's a bit all over the place the first couple of months this year. And now it's finally starting to feel a little bit more settled. You're starting to get some clarity on your long-term goals and plans for your financial future. That's really what this Saturn energy in your 2nd house is about. And Mars is going to show you what you need to start initiating on a day-to-day, sort of mundane, boring level in order to get there. So what are the day-to-day tasks that you need to do to make up your bigger goals, your long-term plans for your career and your financial future? That's going to be a big question this week. And that's something where anything you want to set in motion for your work is going to create financial gains for you long into the future. And if it's a big project or a work-related project that you're starting, now's a time where you will have the drive, the ambition, the energy, and the stamina to carry it out, to see it through. So this is a good week for all of those things for Capricorn. For Aquarius and for Aquarius rising, this is happening partially in your sign, but this is good news. So Saturn, especially if you're an Aquarius, sun, moon, or rising, anywhere from 7 to 13 degrees, you've probably been feeling more of the weight and the heaviness and the sort of sludging through quicksand energy of Saturn, where things are not moving as quickly as you feel like they need to. You've been feeling frustrated with your circumstances, wanting to change things, wanting to do this, that, and the other thing. And you're going through this major cosmic reset. You're reinventing yourself. You're figuring out who you truly are and stripping yourself back down to that core of your actual true identity without all of the conditioning. Mars is actually going to show you how to shake off some of that heaviness and to have a little bit more fun. So Mars is in your 5th house of joy, play, love, romance, things that you do because you love to do them, because you're passionate about them. This is going to show you how to incorporate that energy more into your day-to-day life and experience, and into your identity, into your goals, into your orientation in life. If there's something that you want to initiate involving your children, if you have any, that you want to carry out and benefit you and your children for the long term, now's a time where you can initiate that and get that going as well. But for the most part, this is a time where you're going to have a little bit more momentum. You're going to have the green light to get things moving. And whatever it is that you get moving, you're going to have more energy and time for it than you normally would. And you're going to feel much more focused and self-disciplined. Also, I just want to mention for you, Aquarius, that Venus is moving into your 3rd house. So communication is going to be really good for you for the next few weeks. And so take advantage of that too. Your relationships will improve through really good, open, honest, reciprocal communication. All right. And then for Pisces and for Pisces rising. So for Pisces, Mercury is moving into your sign this week, which is going to make you feel a little bit more talkative, a little bit more a little bit chattier for sure. And so if you've been feeling more like hermity the past few weeks, and especially in January and in February, now's the time where you're going to be feeling like you're going to want to open up, you're going to want to communicate, you're going to want to share ideas and information, you're going to feel just a little bit more social on that level. There's something that you personally want to communicate that is it's like there's a part of you that you need to share with people through communication right now. Also, that Saturn energy in trine with Mars. So you've had a lot of 12th house energy, a lot of hibernation energy, a lot of energy around loss, letting go, releasing old patterns, a lot of chaos and friction going on a subconscious level behind the scenes, behind closed doors. Now's a time where maybe you want to initiate something or start something new behind the scenes still, involving your family relationships, involving your family dynamic, involving your parents or your ancestry. Maybe you want to initiate something involving a home or a property situation. So maybe you want to move. Maybe you want to rip out one of those walls in your house and open things up a little bit, do a little renovation or home improvement. Now's a time where you have the green light to do it, and you'll have the resolve, you'll have the drive, you'll have the energy to really carry it out and see it through. And so that is my forecast for Pisces. The only other thing I would say for Pisces is that Venus is moving into the second house. And so you might be spending a little bit more indulgently, but that could also bring in a little extra finances too for some of you. Okay, and so that's my forecast for all 12 signs. Let's get into next week's energy because it's pretty full. So next week we have the full moon in the sign of Libra on Sunday the 28th, but that is not the only thing that's going on here. So that's the culmination point of the lunar month. It's a big energy, but we also have quite a few things. The biggest thing really being that Mercury will square Mars and Mars will conjunct the North Node. And so when Mars conjuncts the North Node in the sign of Gemini, it could be that there's something is being initiated very quickly that's very karmic, and it's going to be a little harsh or a little all over the place, or it might be, I would say that this is an energy where information could be revealed very abruptly and in a very sort of blunt or a very abrasive or sort of a very straightforward way where it's not so easily received. There could also be a lot of misinformation or like two different stories or double speak going on right now in your own life, maybe in the general sphere, in the general public. There could be, more arguments, more disputes, more things of that nature, especially because Mars is squaring Mercury as a part of this configuration. So you want to keep that in mind. Also, Venus will be Cazimi. So that's going to be a time where if you are having trouble in relationships with this Venus in Aries energy, that's a time where it will be elevated a little bit more, and you'll have a better way of expressing that, or a better way of showing love, or a better way of connecting with other people around that time period. And that's going to be, let's see, at 12:57 a.m. Mountain Standard or Mountain Daylight Time. So a couple hours before that, a couple hours after that on Friday the 26th, so overnight on Thursday. So if you're awake at that time, you want to utilize that energy to do like a beauty treatment, or to do or to have a really important talk, or to do something romantic with your partner, or whatever that is. You have that there. And then we have the full moon in Libra, which is actually a pretty nice full moon as far as full moons go. I mean, it is going to be opposing Venus and Chiron, but it's also trining Saturn, it's trining Mars. There's going to be some good energy there. So I think this is going to kind of light up it's going to light things up in an interesting way. And so we'll talk about that a little bit more next week. And before we sign off, I just wanted to mention again that this is the last period, the last couple of days to enroll in my Cosmic Academy of Astrology. It's my 32-week astrology program. We cover everything that you will need to know to give astrology readings, to make predictions, to even become a professional astrologer someday and give professional level readings, like how to structure those readings. We're going to talk about about ethical and counseling skills. In astrology, we're going to talk about basically everything you need to know. And so this program starts with the foundational stuff for about 12 weeks, and then we go into predictive astrology. By the end of the 12 weeks, you should be able to at least give very basic astrology predictions by looking at the natal chart. How basic or how advanced will depend on how much you've been studying prior, but this is a great course for beginners. And by beginner, I mean anyone who does not know how to put the pieces together to read a birth chart. Anybody who's not yet at that intermediate level where you can make interpretations. If you have been studying the signs, planets, houses a little bit, if you've been dabbling in astrology, if you've been absorbing massive piles of astrology content and you still don't know how to put it all together to integrate it to give a reading, then this course is for you. And we're also going to be doing not just talking about all the foundational stuff, signs, planets, houses, aspects, not just transits, predictions, annual perfections, progressions. We're talking about, or we're going to be doing a whole section on house rulerships. We're going to be covering basically everything you need. Like, it's the whole thing. But we also have an interactive component. So it's not just me delivering information and like talking at you in lectures. Every single week, I have a homework assignment that's specifically designed to help you integrate what you're learning and put it together and think critically about what you're learning for yourself, which is something that a lot of courses don't offer. We also have a student forum for asking your questions, sharing your assignments, connecting with fellow students to practice, which I highly recommend doing. I have 2 teaching assistants who are going to be helping me to answer your questions to make sure you're fully supported all of the time, so you're getting the answers you need and you're getting them in a timely fashion. We're also going to have 2 monthly study group sessions led by my teaching assistants. I'll be kind of sitting in on those too, so you can start practicing your skills, asking your questions, interacting with the material even more so. And we also have a monthly live class that is going to be driven by your feedback, by your questions, by what it is that you want to learn or need to learn about more, so you can interact with me directly and get the answers you need and get the foundations you need for whatever it is that we're learning. I also have 4 bonus offers with this initial run through of the course. And so this is my first year doing this course in its entirety. I've taught all of these things in different formats here and there, but I haven't put it all together in this big lengthy course. I haven't done it with the support staff that I have or with the support that I'll be giving you, because this is going to be very interactive. My biggest thing is making sure you're supportive, you have the mentorship that you need. And so not only am I offering it this time around for 2021 at an introductory rate, about 30% less than what I'll be charging next year, but I'm also offering some bonuses. And so you'll be getting an introduction to electional astrology. You'll be getting an introduction to secondary progressions. You'll be getting my most popular webinar, which is my relocation astrology webinar. And you'll be getting my Mastering the Outer Planets series, where it's like over 22 hours of information about all of the outer planets, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, included completely free of charge with this course to supplement what you're going to be learning. And I won't be offering those bonuses next time around either. So this is your last chance to get all of that and your last chance to sign up this year, because I'll only be opening enrollment once per year due to the hybrid nature of this course, due to the interactive and live components. And so if that's something that's interesting to you, again, the link is down in the description below. You can email me. You can, ask questions in the comments. Just make sure that you enroll before it closes, and I will see you guys next week. Thank you guys so much for watching. And yeah.